Hello everyone, today we are going to do a hands-on lab on the chapter user defined functions. First we will try to do a program of twin prime numbers, then we will try to do a program of taxi fare calculation and also function overloading. So let's start. I have created a project, freshly a new project. Now I'll create a new class over here. So twin prime is the class name. You must remember that class name must be suitable. So this is the class name, public class twin prime. So you know what is a twin prime? When both numbers are to prime and there is a gap of 2 in between these two numbers, so it will be known as twin prime. So first of all, I have to check whether a number is prime or not. That's why I'll make a function. Public boolean is prime. So over here, I'll in the parameter I'll take a number from the user, integer n, and I'll check whether the given n is a prime or not. So I'll take a counter integer c equal to 0, and I'll also take a loop, for loop less than equals to n I plus plus, and here I'll write if the n is divisible by I, that means n mod I equal to 0, then here I'll write C++. So every time I'll increase the counter value, and at the end I'll check if C equal to 2, it will return true, that means it's a prime number, otherwise it will return false. Okay, so let's check the program first whether the isPrime function is running properly or not. If you close and run it, since it's a non-static functions, you need to create an object over here, and after creating object you can run it. So let's see the 5, yeah, it is giving true. Let's see with 9, it's giving false because 9 is not a prime. It is divisible by 1, 3 and 9. If I'm giving 11, it is giving true. So now this prime function is working properly, no doubt. Now I am going to create another one function which will check whether it's a prime or not. Now as you know that this user defined function is more flexible, you can reuse the function again and again. So let's do it. Public void is twin prime, like that, and where I'll take two things, the parameter, because two number I'll take integer a and integer b. I'll check if. Now I'll use this function is prime. If is prime a and is prime b, that means if both numbers are prime, and maybe I can give one more bracket over here. So here I'll write that math.abs a minus b equal to 2. So I'll show you why I have used a math.avs function over here. let me write it first. A and B or directly both numbers are twin prime, else I can give it the same message. The same like message I can give, or not twin prime. Okay, so here similarly I have given you the twin prime. Now let me create a new object, and from here let me run this twin prime options. So in the parameter I can give the two numbers like 3 and 5. So it will write that both numbers are twin prime. But if I'm giving like this, like 5 and 11, so it will say both numbers are not twin prime. So here you can see one thing, that inside this is twin prime function I have not written any code of checking a prime number, but I have just used the functions I have written above. This is the function. So is twin prime function is using is prime function also. Now let me come to this portion why I have used math.avs. See, user can give any number, like user can give 5 and 11. So we have to check whether the difference between 5 and 11 is 2 or not. So if I'm checking like this, 5 minus 11, so the answer will come minus 6, right? So I cannot check. So that's why I have given math.abs. So the abs value of minus 6, sorry, the abs value of the minus 6 will be 6, right? So that now it is a positive number. So to turn this negative number into a positive number, that's why I have used this. Also it will be not negative always, because if user is entering like this 11 and 5, but we don't know the situation, that's why writing this math.avs is always useful. Okay, now let's remove this unnecessary part, and let's come back to the main method. This is the final zone from where you will invoke those functions, okay, or according to your wish. Public static void, so this is the main static function over here. Now I can make use of java util class, sorry, util package, not class. I want to mean scanner class. Import java.util. Okay, so I have imported java.util, and inside the main function I will create an object of scanner class. Scanner input equal to new scanner. System.in. Okay, so my scanner object is created now. So system.out.println, here I will write enter a number, and when user will enter something I want to store in a num1, so it will be scanner object dot next integer. Okay, and then integer number 2. Also I'll ask for the same, just hold on, input dot next int. So enter a number, enter another number. Okay, so two time I am asking my user to enter two different numbers and I am storing them, number A1 and number 2, and after that, so I have these two number from the user. Now I'm going to invoke this function, this isToInPrime function. So now let's come back here and let me create an object of this need object of this class to run non-static function or method. So this class name is twin prime. I have given a name ob equal to new twin prime. Okay, and after that I can easily call is twin prime, and here I'll first number 1 and number 2. So I'm done here. So in the main function, I'm just creating a scanner class and I'm taking two integer input from the user and storing at number 1 and number 2. Then I'm just creating an object of the class, and after creating this class through the object I am calling is twin prime functions and passing these two values number 1 and number 2. So when I am calling or creating this is twin prime function, it is actually calling this function, and this number 1 is now here in the formal parameter it is number a, and number 2 in the formal parameter it is number b. So these two number is being parsed and it is again calling the isPrime function and checking whether the both number are prime or not. If it is prime, it will give a true return, otherwise it will give a false return. So it is checking that if it is true, this person is true, and that one also, and then finally it will check whether the difference between two number is 2 or not. If it is 2, then definitely it will display both numbers are twin prime, otherwise it will display both numbers are not twin prime. Okay, so it was a program of twin prime. Now let's compile, close and run with the main function. Now no need to create an object because already I have created an object inside the main function, and also the main function is static so that it doesn't require any kind of object creations. So you can directly run the main function right now. Just click on the right click on the class name and click on the main functions. So a console window will come and it will ask you to enter a number, and let's write 66 and enter another number. It will be 77. Both numbers are not twin prime. Very good. Once again, maybe 11 and 13, both numbers are twin prime. Also you can write like this, there is no problem, just because of I have given the math.absolute function like 13 first, then 11. Okay, so both numbers are twin prime. Now we'll do a taxi fare calculations program where the calculation tab will be like this. So first of all I want to say there must be some values like double fare. Okay, and let me put it in different color and different style also. Okay, so and okay, so double fare and integer distance Okay, or maybe for time being let dst and c distance. Okay, no problem, no problem. So there will be two variable, member variable, a double fare and integer distance, and then there will be a functions for input, for taking the input from the user. There will be another function for calculation, clcu calculation. Okay, now sorry, just hold on. Okay, and now there will be another functions of display. Okay, so it will display the fare. So I have to create three different functions. One will be responsible for taking the input from the user, another one will be responsible for the calculation, and another one will will display the fare. Okay, now I'm going to mention you the fare. So here is a fare chart. Okay, so up to 5 km it will be Rs 100 rupees. Next 10 km it will be Rs 10 rupees per kilometer. Next 10 km it will be Rs 8 rupees per kilometer, and if it is more than 25 kilometer then price will be Rs 5 rupees per kilometer. Okay, so for the first 5 km I have to pay 100 rupees. For the next 10 km I have to pay as a tariff of Rs 10 rupees per kilometer, and for the next 10 km I have to pay Rs 8 rupees per kilometer. And if the total distance is more than 25 km then I have to pay at a calculation of Rs 5 rupees per kilometer. So now let's do this program. Taxi fare. Okay, so I have created this taxi fare class. Okay, now the variables are double fare and integer distance. Double fare and integer dist and c distance. So these are the two variables over here. Now what I can do, I can create a constructor. How to create a constructor? Constructor is always public, so write public, and constructor name is always same as the class name, so just write public taxi fare, give function sign, and after that you write all the member variables and assign them with a default value. Okay, or simply write 0, distance also 0. Okay, or I can simply write fare is 100. That means whether I'm just starting, so it will be 100. Now do you know why constructor is being used? Constructors are being used to initialize the default values. So when we need to assign some default values we always use constructor. Okay, so now simply I can write this display function. So from this display function, so it will be always void, so public void display function, it is not going to return anything. Now here I'll write system.out.println So distance is like that, distance, distance, and similarly you have to distance and then fair. Okay, so you can see after creating an object you can run the display function, and where the both thing distance and fair will be 0 because it's a default value. So now here I'll write public void input so that I can take the input function. So I'm going to use scanner class, java.util, and here I'll write scanner is equal to new scanner, and here I'll write system.in. Okay, and now I'll write here system.out.println. Please enter the distance of travel travel. So user will enter something. I want to store it inside distance variable. So sc dot next int. So user will enter something in the integer format. So now I have an input function which is responsible for taking input from the user. We have a display function also which is responsible for displaying the details like distance and the fair. And now I'll create a function for, I can create anywhere, no problem at all. Public void calculation, and here I'll write my logic. So the logic is if distance equal to 0, sorry, it is a distance variable. Oh, here I have fair. If distance equal to 0, then fair will be 0 also. Then if distance is greater than 5 and distance is less than equals to 10, that means for the next 10 kilometer, so the fair will be carried forwarded by the distance minus 5, because I have already calculated the 5 multiplied by 10 because 10 is the tariff. Now again I'll write not else if, I'll write if distance is greater than 10 and distance is less than equals to 25, oh sorry, I made a slight mistake here, it must be 15. Okay, because 5 to 15 is with the 10 kilometer. From here also, if it is greater than 15 and less than equal to 25, that means it will be up to 25. So the fare plus equals to distance minus, because already I have calculated the 15 kilometers, so 15 will be yeah, we have to deduct the 15 multiplied with the rate is 8 rupees per kilometer. And at the end I'll write if the distance is greater than 25, then it will write like this. Fare directly it will be distance multiplied by 5, because here no carry forward or other things, it is directly 5 rupees. So now I am calculating the fare over here. So if you close it, and now I have to go through, like, I have created an object. Now if I am displaying, it will display distance is 0 and the basic fare is 100 rupees. Okay, but let's go with the flow. Let's run the input function first. So the distance I have traveled, it is maybe 4 kilometer. Okay, now let's run the calculation program. It is done. Now let's run the display program. You can see the distance is 4 kilometer and the fare is 100 rupees. Now again, if you go to the input program and if you give it is 12 kilometers, and if you close and if you run the calculation program, it is done. And now display program, you can see for the 12 kilometers you have to pay 170 rupees. Yes, because for the 5 kilometer you have to pay 100 rupees, and then then only 2 kilometers left. So for the 2 kilometer you have to pay this tariff 10 rupees per kilometer, that means 20. So in total it is 120 kilometers. Now if you come here, if you close this and try to run a main function to execute all, you can write the main function anywhere, it doesn't matter. Public, sorry, static void main, and here I'll create an object of this class, taxi fare ob equal to new taxi fare, and after that I'll try to invoke this function one by one. So ob dot input first, then ob dot calculation, then ob dot display. Okay, so from the main function I have called all these three functions, obviously by using an object. Now let's close this editor and run this main function directly. You can able to see that it is calling all those functions one by one. And let me write that I want to travel 100 kilometer, which is more than 25 kilometer. So tariff will come 5 rupees per kilometer. So it will tell you the distance is 100 kilometers, so you have to pay a fare of 500 rupees. Okay, and if your distance is only up to 5 kilometers, it will tell fare is 100 rupees. If it is up to 15 kilometers, it is 200, just because of for the first 5 kilometers you have to pay 100 rupees, and another 10 kilometers you have to pay a tariff of 10 rupees, so it is 200. So after using these functions, you can see it is very easier to maintenance and to see, and it is very efficient just because logic is separated. Now if you are looking at main function, you can see these three functions how easily anyone can predict. The first I am taking the input, then I am doing the calculation job, then I am doing the display job. So if you come to the input sections, only codes are there to collect an input. So I have a scanner class and I am asking my user to enter the travel distance, and I am just assigning the distance inside this at a distance variable. After that there is a display function which is displaying only these two variables. So it is a very simple logic. And if you come to the calculation section, where I have given my logic that if the distance is 0 kilometer, the fare will be 0 automatically. If the distance is more than 5 and greater than 15, then fare will be added, a new fare will be added, the distance minus 5 multiplied by 10, because I have already added 5 kilometer distance of RS 100 rupees. After that, if the distance is greater than 15 and distance is less than 25, then fare will be added 8 rupees per kilometer, okay, and which will be excluded from the first 15 kilometer. So calculation is given here, and it is just calculating the fare. So you can see programming logic became very easy. It's not complex anymore. Okay, and it is divided into modular programming. Like input is a separate thing where I'm taking only input. Display also a separate module where I'm showing the display, and calculation is a separate module. So now if you want to put little bit extra in this function on I can show you, like let me create some problem over here. So if you are running the main function, it is asking you to enter some travel distance, and I'm writing something like this ABCD, so it will give you an error. What error? Because let me show you also. It's the input mismatch exception from the java.util util class. So input mismatch, yes, definitely it is asking me to enter the travel distance where I am entering ABCD, so it is an error. So there is a high chance of getting error where you are taking user input. So to prevent this kind of user input, definitely you can use the exception handling you have learned earlier. So to make X or to implement exception handling, simply cut this program or cut this code and write try block. Okay, and below you can write catch block where you will write exception and give a name, maybe E. This is the object name. So what I can do inside this try, every codes are given, whatever code it was there earlier, and now inside catch I can display a message. I can display a message like this: sorry, some error occurred, or like this. Okay, and if you try to invoke the function again, you can. So I'll give a message, sorry, some error occurred, and I can again start the same input function. So let's do it. So I have written ABCD, so it is telling me sorry, some error occurred. And again it is asking me to enter the number. So let me write 45. You can see it is going smoothly. Okay. So now I have given an exception handling part where if you are entering something wrong, it will say sorry, some error occurred, but it will not crash the program. It will not crash. Instead of it can call the same function again. So I have called the same function from its own body. So I have again repeated. So again repeated the functions call. Okay. So this twin program function is done here. So we have done with the taxi fare program. Now let's come. Uh, Now let's see the function overloading. So function overloading, it's a kind of implementations of polymorphism. At first, I want to clear few basic idea like this. So public void add. Now if I am trying to write two functions with the same name, the system will not allow me to do so, just because a method is already there. So if I am trying to write the same methods twice, computer will give an error just because a same function it is there. So it can make confusion for the compiler that which is the function I want to call or to be called. So to get rid from this problem and to implement the polymorphism, we have to change the function signature. I can keep two functions with the same name, but in that case we have to change the function signature. And you know what is a function signature? So here I am writing integer a and integer b, so it will be able to calculate, and maybe let me write integer. So return type is integer, so I'll return a plus b, sorry, okay. And now here you can see problem, no errors are there right now, problems being solved already. Now here I am writing integer a, sorry, instead of integer, or again if I'm writing float a and float b, and here I am returning something like in float variable return a plus b, okay. So what is the function signature for the first program? It will be add int comma int. So both parameter types are int and the function name is add. And here the function signature will be add float comma float. So in these two cases you can see both functions are very different. They are not same. Okay, that's why since function signatures are different but they have the same name, it is known as function overloading. Now how overload came, you can see when I'm try if you try to, if you compile, if you try to run these two function, you can pass some value like 5 and 10, it will be 15. And similarly you can call the second add functions with the 5.5 web and 15.5 web, so it will give you 21.0, a float result. So you don't have to remember, or you don't have to explicitly mention the which function you want to call. It will be, it will computer system, it will call the appropriate functions accordingly. Now if I am writing here main function, and if I'm writing over here system dot out dot println here add, and I'll pass some value like 5.6f comma 6.6f and again like this 10 comma 25. Oh sorry, since it is a static zone and these are the non-static zone, I have to create an object. So the function, sorry, the class name was fun overload, so I'll write fun overload will be equal to new fun overload, okay. And with the help of the object we have to call it ob.add, and here also ob.add, okay. Now I have not given any instruction to the computer that uh, when I'll write this, which add functions to be called. But since the parameter I am passing to float value, definitely it will match with the signature, this one, and it will call this function. And it will get a float return. So let's close and run it. You can see the first answer 12.2 and the second answer is 35 in integer mode. Okay, so it was a function overloading, my dear. Thank you so much.